Deputy President Paul Mashatile has condemned the incident involving SAPS members who were filmed assaulting civilians on the N1 highway in Johannesburg at the weekend.
The video has been shared multiple times on social media, and both the victims and the officers have now been identified.
Earlier, we spoke to Richard Mamabolo, Popcru spokesperson, and Mxolisi Silevana, an independent security specialist.
We still think that the information is still being sourced at this moment, but however, as a union, we're against any form of brutality, be it against police or civilians. We think that as soon as investigations have concluded, we will be in a position to actually come out with a clear perspective. As things stand, we've only seen one side of the story. Then, of course, the video that is circulating on media platforms depicts only a certain aspect of it. So we are confident that through investigations that are currently being held by the IPID, we will get to the bottom of this whole matter.
For Popcru, then, before I go to Mxolisi, for you, Richard, what else are you hoping to see in order to be able to have a formulated position?
Look, I think one thing that is quite important for us as a union has been the fact that we need to develop good working relations between communities and police. And of course, such incidents, of course, depicts one side of the whole story. And we think that only through these investigations which are being conducted, can we then be in a position to actually give a clear view around what we think should happen. But the most important thing for us is that we need to obviously have relationships that actually build, as opposed to those that destroy the kind of perception that I had about police, and of course the manner in which we operate with communities.
I'm going to come back to that in just a moment. Mxolisi, thank you so much for your time as well this afternoon. Let's start then, as someone who's been in this particular field, a former VIP protection officer yourself, what was your reaction when you saw that?
Thank you for affording me this opportunity. It is so unfortunate that the guys had to come to that kind of situation when they have to sort the problems out. And I would like to think maybe that was the last degree they could have gone, but I don't condone what they've done. I'm not really saying it's a good thing for them to do. It's absolutely uncalled for. They cannot do something like that. But as we all know that we only heard or saw only the one side of it. We haven't heard or seen anything beyond that. We don't know what triggered them to come to that kind of conclusion. But to be short, I would say the mandate of a VIP person, any person who does the VIP job, his duty is not to fight the battle, is to try by all means to get away from the battle, because the most important cargo that you are carrying, which is your principle, is the one that you don't want that person to be involved in those kinds of alterations.
So in your view then, I know, as we say, of course, this afternoon, investigations continue, details are still sketchy. What could have driven them then to that?
We can only speculate by saying maybe the reason that could have happened that way is probably, the VIP convoy is always on the far right lane, which is the fast lane. You probably would find that the vehicle was on the fast lane where the VIP had to go to drive on. And I'm not saying the other person was not allowed to drive on the fast lane, but once you see that there is a convoy coming behind you, by respect, you give way to them to go past as they are executing their own duties, because Section 84 of Traffic Act says it gives provisions to the police, military personnel, ambulances, and fire people to be given way when they executing their duties. So I only speculate in this instance because we don't have full information as to what led to this.
Now, Richard, one of the things, of course, that has now been brought to bear by this particular incident is that you're dealing with a situation here where officers were heavy-handed, brandishing weapons in the manner in which they did. Let's say, of course, right now we don't know the circumstances, but whatever the circumstances may have been, the brandishing of such weapons in public surely cannot be the correct conduct.
Look, it is always expected that these units would have firearms, of course, inclusive of police as well. I think we've as well seen incidents where those who would be transporting cash, cash in transit.
But I'm talking about the brandishing of these weapons against unarmed civilians, because those people did not have anything to threaten them with.
The video that has been leaked to the media, or the video that's in circulation rather, depicts only a certain aspect of what actually happened. So it's going to be quite impossible for us to actually make a full analysis of what would have transpired leading to that brandishing until and only as and when investigations are fully well put on the table, so that we can then speak to facts. At the moment, it's quite difficult to actually make any form of speculation around what would have led to such an incident taking place.
Now, when it comes then, Richard, to another conversation that this has sparked, is that for some, they've resuscitated the calls for, an end to the using of these blue light brigades. They say that this should not even still be continuing, given what they're also seeing in the public domain. I'm going to get to your thoughts on the calls for this to stop, but is this the only incident that Popcru is aware of?
Look, there might have been other incidents in the past, of course. These different incidents are not necessarily similar to what would have happened. And of course, that is why it's quite important that we establish the merits and the demerits of what actually transpired in these latest incidents.
Okay. Is this the only incident, though, that Popcru is aware of? And that is a direct question. Is it the only incident?
There have been many other reported incidents in the past, of course, under different circumstances. That is why we are emphasizing that they happen under different contexts.
All right. Mxolisi, one of the other things, of course, that we see here is that this video is circulating on social media. And there may be other videos that we are not seeing that probably are not taken, moments where, civilians may come under attack. How much of a concern is this, particularly when it comes to what we are seeing happen around the VIP protection and what you've just explained, even around the rules on the roads?
It's very much concerning to such an extent that we don't know after the incident what happened to those two gentlemen who were left lying there. I would have probably suggested that when the situation has come to that level, at least there should have been one or two of the guys who had caused the beating to liaise with the local police there, or to call the ambulance just to make sure that the guys were on the floor there were still okay. There was nothing really went wrong with them, and also to report to the local police station so that it shouldn't be seen as something that was deliberate and run away afterwards. Did they go overboard, in your view? In my view, I think they've really gone overboard because we don't promote the kind of action that they've conducted themselves in. We really sympathizes also with those two other gentlemen's families for what has happened. Richard, is it time that possibly a conversation is had around the use of blue light brigades, as has been in the past?
Look, debates should obviously continue around how we actually work together in ensuring that everybody abides by what they are supposed to. As Mxolisi already indicated, that there are certain provisions within the law which obviously would speak to emergency services, and of course they would form part of that. So it's quite important that there is an engagement to ensure that everybody, of course, plays their roles in that regard. Are the blue lights needed, in your view? Most definitely needed. I mean, they provide a form of security for certain aspects of the security needs that are entailed within different categories of governance, and we think that they should continue. The only discussion that we think should obviously be held is around how they then relate to the public, and of course, as well as ensuring that there is some form of awareness about the role and of course the road regulations that are applicable in that regard. And Mxolisi, let's talk about, the responsibility of motorists as well. You've alluded to this a little earlier on, but I'd like us to be succinct and, paint a picture for someone who's driving and this motorcade is approaching. What is the correct procedure in that particular situation?
Good question. Thank you. As soon as you realize that there's a convoy coming behind you, it is right for the other road users to give way to the convoy that's might be carrying, as it always carries anyway, might be carrying a president, a deputy president, or even the foreign minister or president who's running to the airport, who cannot afford to lose, to miss the time of the airport. Yes, one might argue, why didn't they leave earlier? Circumstances, they vary from each other. We cannot always say why didn't they leave before time. But yes, I would say it is always understandable when the other road users give way to the convoy that comes behind them. It's not to say we are forcing our way to pass through them, but it goes with respect. As I say, sometimes the convoy might be carrying the president. You give way to the convoy that's behind you, because the responsibility of those VIP protectors is to make sure that the principal that they're driving with or they're escorting is because they are vulnerable. As soon as they got onto the road, they become vulnerable. Their responsibility is to make sure that the president or the principal that they're driving around is not compromised. His safety is not compromised, not at all. So all the time they need to be very, very much alert, and as a result, they become vulnerable.